None of us in here needs to be reminded that our time on this earth is very limited. And certainly the years when we are in our prime, when we have good health, when we have physical agility, when we have endurance and plenty of energy, those years are limited. Every one of us in this room could be referred to as an older American. And when we look back on our lives, we may wonder where all that time went. So we look back on it, it seems to have gone so fast. I guess because I've done so many funerals, I've wondered before what people would say about me at my own funeral. And you know, that's a sobering thought when you think about that. What would somebody say about me at my own funeral? But yet there's another deeper reason to be concerned with how we live our lives. You know, although it is true that in essence Christianity is about everlasting life after this life is over, nevertheless Christianity does tell us that our life on earth is important. And Christianity tells us that although God is merciful and forgiving, in some way, the way we live our lives here on earth will follow us throughout all eternity. Now, this is not to say that we're going to spend eternity paying for every little sin we committed or every bad decision we made. But still, in some way, the things we do in this life will follow us for all eternity. It is the things we do that make us who we are. And Christianity tells us that who we are will follow us for all eternity. And so the way we live our lives does indeed matter. And for that reason today I want us to do something a little different. I want us, each one of us, to really consider and really think about how we're living our lives. The objective is to examine our life and see if we're living the way we really want to live. You know, the way we've lived our lives in the past is over and done and can't be changed. But as of this moment forward, you can change if you need to. And to do this, I'm going to bring up a series of questions. And for each question, just think about your own personal answer. It's a time to just think. Now, I'm not doing this because I'm accusing any one of you of needing to make changes in your lives. That's not why I'm doing it. You may hear the questions and think, well, I don't need to make any changes, and that's good. But if you do need to make changes, I hope this time will help you to live your life as you really want to live it. I want you to think about the things that you focus your interest and attention on. What are the main things you focus your interest and attention on? When you look at the grand scheme of things, are those things important enough to deserve the attention you put to them? Are they the things you really want to focus on? If this afternoon you ended up in the emergency room over at the hospital and you got a diagnosis of an acute medical problem and you were told you only had a few days to live, if you knew your life was going to end by, say, Tuesday or Wednesday, when you look back on the things you've done in the past couple of years, would you be satisfied or would you wish you had spent your time doing different things? You know, as we live our lives day to day, it's easy to sort of think, oh, this is going to go on forever. But it won't. When the time comes that you face death, you realize how precious time actually was. We do not have to wait until we're laying over there at hospice to realize how precious each day is, each moment is. We can think about that now. And we can live our lives realizing how precious each day really is. Do you spend your time doing things that are really important to you? Or do you fritter your time away on things that when all's said and done, won't matter. You know, one day it'll be too late to change that. If you knew your life was going to end in the next few days, when you look back on your life, what would you like to have done that you did not do? What do you wish you had done? When your life begins to draw to a close, what will you lay there wishing you had done? What would you wish you had not done? Are there any chances you wish you had taken in life? Are there any risks you wish you had taken? Are there things you really wanted to do but didn't because at the time it seemed too risky? If you knew you only had a few days to live, would you wish you had done those things? Would you wish that you had stepped out of the box and done something completely different? Are there things you wish you had said to people but you didn't? Maybe told someone how much you appreciate them or what they mean to you. If you knew your life was going to end in the next few days, what would you like to say to the people you care about? Are you happy with the people you spend your time with? I'm not talking about your immediate family and closest friends. I'm talking about just the other people that you're interact with every day. Are those people that you'd like to spend the last day of your life with? If you knew you were going to die in the next couple of days and you look back on your life, would you see that the things you strove for and the things you focused on were things that in the long run really don't matter? Wanda has a wind chime on our back porch that has a little thing on it that says, "Enjoy today." And I think of all the things we've got out there, I have enjoyed that little thing most because I see that just about every day. And when I see it, a lot of times it reminds me, enjoy today. Enjoy today. Are you present in each moment of the day? What I mean is your mind on what's going on now, or is your mind always racing about something else? Are you enjoying being alive right this moment? Or are you worried about something? Are you thinking about politics? Are you thinking about the economy? Are you thinking about the world affairs? Are you thinking about what you have to do tomorrow, next week? Or maybe you're thinking about what you did last week. Or maybe you're thinking about what other people are doing. Or worried about other people. What are they doing? Would your life be better if at least occasionally you could just be now and forget about the politicians and forget about the economy and forget about Putin and Zelensky or whatever his name is, or all those people over there, and just enjoy now, right where you are? Would your life be better if you could get rid of those churning thoughts that go through your mind? Every now is fleeting. Now lasts only a moment and it's gone. Now is something you have only for a moment, and it's something you can never have again. Friday afternoon, I was fixing to print out the bulletins and the sermon for this week. And before I print out everything, I have it saved on there. I come back to it to print it out. I always go over everything to be sure I don't have any typos. Sometimes I miss them. But before I printed all this stuff out, I was reading over it one more time. And I read that paragraph about now. And you know, that now Friday afternoon about 3 o'clock is gone. I will never have that day again. There will never be another October the 2nd, 2022. Never. There will never be another time, never, when this particular group of people, sitting right where you are, dressed right what you're wearing today, thinking right what you're thinking now, this will never happen again. You may come next Sunday, but it'll be different. This only happens now. When it's gone, it's gone. Do we appreciate now as if we realize that now is so fleeting and it will never be back? Do you appreciate the beauty of the world around you? You look up at the sky and see the beauty of the cloud. Do you ever appreciate the moon and stars in the sky? Do you ever appreciate the beauty of a sunset? We live up on top of a hill and we have a big view. We have beautiful sunsets up there. Sometimes we get to see them. We appreciate them. Of course, sometimes we don't. Beautiful sunset. Do you appreciate the flowers and the grass, the trees, even the weeds? One and I were up to the shop yesterday and we got a big rosemary bush at the side of the shop and it was blooming. And one said, I didn't know that rosemary bush bloomed like that. It looked like a little tiny miniature daisy. And I said, well, I've never seen that either. I started looking, it was a weed that had come up through there. And I said, it's a weed. I said, but it's so pretty, I'm not going to pull it up. It was a pretty weed. It was looking all happy looking. We need to appreciate stuff like that. You ever appreciate the beauty of the mountains? Before the pine trees got so big, we used to could see the South Mountains. It was just white there. We could see it, but now the pine trees blocking out. Ever appreciate the beauty of the beach? Do you treasure the time with your loved ones? Time with them on this earth will be short. We all have loved ones who are no longer with us, and we look back and it went so fast. Do we treasure the time we have now with our loved ones? Do you live a life of truth and integrity? Does the way you live your life reflect honesty? Do you stand on principles even if it costs you? Or are you always able to rationalize bending your principles if need be? Do your actions and your speech and your thinking reflect the things you really believe to be true? Do you live according to values? Does what you do reflect what you think is important in life? When people look at you and look at how you live your life, they get a sense of what's important to you. What do your actions show is important to you? Can people tell you are a Christian by the way you live your life? Or is the way you live your life indistinguishable from everybody else? Jesus said, by their fruit you shall know them. In other words, Jesus was telling us that you know somebody by their actions. By watching what somebody does, you know who they are. What do people know about you from your actions? Do you look at every person in the world as being created in the image of God just as you are? Do you look at every person in the world, every person, as being loved by God every bit as you are? Do you look at every person in the world, everyone now, everyone, as being as important to God as you are? Do you treat every other person in the world as if they are just as important to God as you are? Do you take into account how your actions affect other people? Not just maybe your wife or husband or children or grandchildren, but how your actions affect other people. Do you treat other people the way you would want God to treat you? Do you treat other people the way you would like God to treat you? Now think for a minute, if you could somehow step out of your skin and pull back and see yourself and observe how you act. You know, like if you could be a third person for a minute and just watch yourself throughout a day. Observe how you act and what you do and how you talk. What would you think of yourself? If you could completely come out of your body and just watch yourself, what would you think of yourself? Do you live your life by the same standards by which you evaluate other people? Is the way you act and the things you do reflecting what you think a good person should do? Now we've had a lot to think about today, and I hope that sometime later today or sometime during the week you'll think more of the things that we talked about. Because I think that it is important to think about how we're living our life. It's important because it is critical. We talked about earlier how we live our life will follow us throughout all eternity. And that's one reason to be careful about how we live. But I want us to think about another reason. You know, we exist and we have life. And we're here on earth because God created us and put us here. We're not here by accident. The world doesn't exist by accident. Life doesn't exist by accident. Human life doesn't exist by accident. And each one of us individually doesn't exist by accident. We are here because God put us here. Now, the Bible does not tell us why God created the world and why God created human beings. It does not. At no place does the Bible tell us that. So we cannot know for sure. People have different opinions about why God created the world. But I want to consider one possible answer. I'm not saying this is the answer, just one possible one to consider. If you go back to Genesis and look there where God's creating the world, it says that after everything God created, it says God saw that it was good. So God created the world and saw it was good. He created a good world and He put us in it. And then we go over just a little bit more in Genesis and we find how they get spoiled. And then things are no longer the way God wanted them to be. But you know, from that chapter in Genesis where Adam and Eve ate the fruit until the very last page of the Bible in Revelation, you can look at that as the process by which God reverses what happened when Adam and Eve ate the fruit. You can look at that as a process by which God restores things to the way He originally created them to be. He restores them to be good. And also if you go to Revelation there, you'll see that He restores us, restores our lives in this new world. God, in other words, is working right now to restore things, including us, to the way He originally wanted them to be. with all that in mind, just consider that maybe the reason we exist is that God wanted us to enjoy being alive. Maybe life is a gift, and the reason God gave it to us is that He just wanted us to enjoy being alive. And so if you're looking for the purpose of life, maybe the purpose of life is very, very simple. Enjoy life. The purpose of life is to enjoy it. Are you enjoying life right now? At this moment? But let's think about it in another way. God wants us to enjoy life. But the Bible tells us we are created in the image of God, which means that we are created to reflect God. So God wants us to enjoy life in a way that will reflect Him. Is that what we're doing? Are we living our lives to enjoy life and to reflect God? That is the question. And that is what every Christian should strive for. To live their lives in a way that they enjoy life and to live their lives in a way that they reflect God.